Tables and seats are now on sale for the biggest night in the digital video calendar, the TellyCast Digital Video Awards. We're celebrating excellence in the only award ceremony created especially for the social video industry, with over 100 channels, shows and series shortlisted across 27 categories. It all takes place on the evening of 5th of June during South by Southwest London Week at the luxurious Londoner Hotel in Leicester Square. The guest list reads like the who's who in the next generation of entertainment. So book your table, half table or seat now and join the talent and executives shaping the content industry of tomorrow. Just visit digitalvideoawards.co.uk to secure your place now. The TellyCast Digital Video Awards, the biggest night in the digital video calendar. We'll see you there. Welcome to TellyCast, the content industry podcast show. I'm Justin Crosby, and today we're bringing you an exclusive panel discussion from the TellyCast Digital Content Forum, recorded live at the BFI Southbank on the 7th of November 2024. This is our Digital Docs panel, sponsored by Quintus Studios. In this session, we dive into the world of digital-first documentaries with a fantastic group of panellists who are each making waves in the industry. Moderator Sam Barcroft and the panel explore what it takes to succeed in the digital documentary space, whether it's finding the right niche, driving growth, or generating revenue on digital platforms. First up, we have Serena Brown from B1M, whose YouTube-first approach has turned her channel into a go-to destination for all things architecture and construction. Joining her is Yusuf Omar from Scene TV, a company built on mobile journalism, reaching millions of viewers and focusing on stories that mainstream media often overlook. We're also joined by Ben Zand from Zandland, a producer with a knack for storytelling that brings fascinating, underexplored subjects to light across multiple platforms. And finally, we have Gerrit Kemming from Quintus Studios, a digital documentary pioneer who shares how they leverage their extensive network of creators to produce compelling content for both online and traditional broadcast channels. Each of our panellists has carved out a unique path in the documentary world, and today they're sharing their experiences and the lessons they learned along the way. If you're curious about the future of digital documentaries, or you're just looking to break into the field, this panel will give you valuable insights into creating and growing digital-first doc brands. For videos featuring the movers and shakers of the content industry, just search TellyCast TV on YouTube or click the link in the episode description. So, let's get started with a Digital Docs panel from the TellyCast Digital Content Forum live at the BFI Southbank.
Welcome to the BFI. Great to be back. I wanted to just say thank you very much to the panellists for getting here. We've got 20 minutes. I'm not going to talk very much. My name's Sam. I started uploading documentaries with my colleagues to YouTube in 2006. Made shows for all the TV networks and for Netflix and Facebook Originals and Snap Originals and people like that. So I've been around the digital doc space for quite a while, but I'm really excited today to have people on this panel who've figured out ways of making brilliant businesses in the kind of digital first documentary space. And hopefully today we can inspire you guys to figure out how you can improve and grow your businesses. I now work at a company called Creativille, where we support leading video and media brands to grow their video businesses. And so I'm really keen to find out some of the tricks that these guys have got up their sleeves. So firstly, coming to Serena. So Serena, tell us what you do at the B1M.
Yeah, so I'm head of content at the B1M. If you haven't heard of us, we are a YouTube first channel that talks about the built environment. So that's architecture, construction, basically how we shape our environment and then how that in turn shapes us. So we also have, podcast, social media, short, vertical, like everyone else at this point, but we're primarily YouTube documentaries.
And you fucking love a skyscraper, don't you?
We love a skyscraper, all of them.
So if you've ever wanted to know about skyscrapers, lock in. Yeah. So how do you guys make money?
50-50 between, well, not 50-50. AdSense is a bit rubbish sometimes, but YouTube AdSense, obviously, but primarily through sponsorships and partnerships. So either being commissioned by companies to come to their skyscraper or different building and construction site, or just a 60-second integration within a video.
Okay, so it's really interesting. So you're basically tight with the brands, and you've got your own audience that are making you money just by showing up and watching.
Yeah, we're really hard in that AEC industry, so within construction. So we have a lot of sponsorships that are quite unique to us because we're quite trusted to know what we're talking about when it comes to construction. So we'll work with some of the big construction companies, Skanska, for example, to get there. So
what do they see a value in paying you money to be in your videos for?
I think it's the fact that if you work within construction, like nobody in this room, but if you work within construction, you definitely have heard of us and follow us, and we're quite sort of dialed into that industry. So it's the fact that you can have, if you have a building that you want general public to learn about, there'll be a lot of general public watching, but also you're reaching the direct audience that you're looking to reach. So other, purchasers and business owners within that space.
So it's really interesting. So you're getting punters like me that love a building, and you're getting people who work in construction who care about, is my skyscraper better or bigger than your skyscraper? Yeah. Wicked. Okay. Yeah. What do you think in niche factual, which because you're doing docs about buildings, that's kind of niche, right? There's not going to be a cable channel. You're not going to see much of that on BBC 3 or 2 or anywhere else, are you? So what do you think is the trick to doing really well in terms of like getting something that does do both things, get you a general audience and provide something that's really specific?
I think you have to cater to people who know way too much about the subject and way more than you, and also people who know absolutely nothing at the same time.
So you can't blag it.
So you can't blag it. And you'd have to be I think you have to be trusted and authentic. So Fred, who started the B1M and who presents everything, he has a background in architecture and construction. We have a charity we run to help with mental health and construction because it's really, really awful. So everything we do, we sort of live and breathe it. So I think the fact that you're seen as a really trusted resource, and we're the number 1 subscribed to construction channel.
Wow.
So it'll be sort of seen as, thank you, we're seen as knowing what we're talking about. So I think as long as people can trust you, then they'll listen to what you have to say.
Good stuff. Okay, that's really interesting. I'm going to come back to you shortly. Yusuf, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here. You come all the way from America?
I was in the US for the elections, but I'm based in Australia.
Sorry about that. Yeah, okay. So tell us what you do.
Yeah, my name's Yusuf Omar. I'm the co-founder of Scene TV. We were actually born during the last Trump election, where we felt that the media were totally out of touch with stories on the ground. Same in the UK. Who thought Brexit was going to happen? Nobody, because they weren't listening to real people and real stories. We basically trained 20,000 people in 140 countries how to tell stories with phones. We call them mojos, mobile journalists. And then we started curating their content into shows. We've got 12 shows on platforms like Snapchat. We've got about 8 million subscribers. And those subscribers have generated about $9 million $18 million. We get half of it. So $9 million in programmatic ad revenue.
Right. Okay. And so what kind of subject areas does Scene TV make shows about?
Stigmas and taboos. So we have a show called Scene Survivors, which looks at domestic violence and, sexual assault survivors. We've got Scene Minds, which is a mental health show. Scene Health, which is looking at unusual health conditions like a woman that's allergic to water. But we're increasingly finding that, and where we've found success in these stigmas and taboos is really unseen audiences. So, for example, we realized really early that doing stories on menstrual hygiene is so important and has such a large base. And because, organizations like the BBC and others are run by, later aged males who don't menstruate often, they don't touch these topics. They see them as a taboo. And it's like, well, why is it a stigma? Half the world's population does this. And I think we leaned into that space. And in doing so, today, 70% of our audience are 13 to 24-year-old young women. We found a gap in unseen audiences.
Okay, amazing. And how do you make money?
Initially, we made money through programmatic ads. So on Snapchat and Facebook and YouTube, we'd play videos and earn money from the ads in between. And that was really a game of retention. How do you keep people watching for long enough? But what's really exciting over the last 3 months is we're now starting to see a membership model emerge where our audience are paying us directly for our content. And that's the most exciting thing in the world, because that means we don't have to do the algorithm thing. We don't have to be as sensationalist or as clickbaity as we have historically been for the last 7 years.
And why do they give you money?
They give you money because maybe they want to see their worldview represented in content around the world. Maybe they feel that media organizations don't accurately represent the types of content that they want to see. I mean, I'll take this into a diversity perspective, for example. I come from a Muslim background, right? They make up 2 billion people around the world, 1/3 of humanity. They don't have a Disney. They don't have a Netflix. They don't have many media organizations that cater to that base. So when stories like Gaza have emerged, when Palestine's emerged, there is a massive audience that are like, hey, fuck this. All the media organizations are not representing my worldview. And they're willing to pay media organizations who are.
Okay, interesting. So your kind of addressable audience is probably that younger demographic, 13 to 25, 26, in kind of underrepresented spaces. Is that right? So you might have 1 billion or 2 people in that demo that are very underserved.
Yes. And your Gen Zs across the UK and the US are also aligned with those values.
Okay.
Right? They're more inclusive. They're more understanding. So you bring in that group, and that group happen to have a very high CPM.
Interesting.
So on
they're hard
programmatic,
to reach, right?
Yeah, they're hard to reach. So on Snap, we're seeing this week, for example, like a $19 CPM.
Wow.
Which means that a piece of content.
Good old days are back again.
Yeah, but what it means is a piece of content that's costing us, because remember, it's UGC, right? It's citizens that are creating the content. So it's costing us, say, $200 or $300 to produce, is generating $100,000. You can't make that kind of money without taking your clothes off. Like, there's a really interesting...
There's laws.
But what I'm saying is, like, there's a really interesting opportunity there.
Yeah, great. A big margin, and that's fantastic. Thank you. Right, next, Ben. Welcome. Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Congrats on your new child.
Oh, yeah.
And tell us all about what you do, Ben.
Yeah, so I run Zandland. Zandland is a kind of multi-channel production company. I mean, not too dissimilar to yourself. You know, we kind of try and get into the less seen sides of the world, untold stories. We tend to meet unusual individuals and kind of understand them, find middle ground. I mean, I used to work for the BBC for years as a journalist, getting access to interesting people, and realized that, you know, I could do it myself. I could set up a team. So much of what we do is just incredible access, on the ground reporting, raw, and effectively, you know, we work across, I suppose, very traditional TV things, you know, so we pitch to the likes of Netflix and Discovery Channel and Peacock on streamer content. We work in the UK. We kind of basically do everything. You know, we'll work in the UK, pitch to UK producer channels. We'll also do stuff that we self-fund and then work with distributors to sell. So we're doing a feature stock at the moment in that sense. And then we do digital content, either outright commissions through TV channels or brands. And then we do some content kind of that we self-produce to kind of build the brand.
So your company's got ADHD.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we just effectively, I mean, it's tricky. I mean, this is kind of each day of my life is trying to figure out where the hell we focus. And ultimately we have the kind of core, which is we get great access to people who have fantastic stories, and you can sell that in many different places in many different forms.
Correct. Yeah.
So that's kind of the center.
Your USP. So your USP is amazing storytelling and within kind of incredible worlds, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you take that and you do that for lots of different folks.
Want to get ahead in digital-first content? The Drop is the go-to newsletter for industry professionals, delivering insider news, trends, and insights straight to your inbox. Navigate the fast-changing landscape of digital-first production, distribution, and monetization. Sign up now for free at dropmedia.co.uk and stay informed with The Drop.
Yeah, and I'd say that, you know, why do people come to us? People come to us because we genuinely can get access to people that you wouldn't usually get access to, whether that's, you know, someone with an incredible true crime story that could be a multi-part series, either on digital or on, a streamer for millions of dollars, or to a drug lord in Mexico, you know, and it's kind of...
So your child's first birthday party, you're not going to invite anybody.
Yeah, exactly. Only the drug lords.
Okay. Yeah, of course.
Can I ask a question? You regard yourself as a production company.
I'd say a studio / production.
How did you make that decision between like production versus being the publisher and saying, hey, come to watch with us?
Well, initially it was to be a production company because that was, you know, I was like, oh, how do you make money? And the simplest way to make money is this. I will give this person an idea and they'll pay me for that idea in a kind of TV sense. Now, 100% the kind of trajectory is a studio, you know, and whether that's a studio in the sense of we'll self-fund content that we create, whether that's like a feature doc that we find a way to make for a little bit of money and then we sell it in TV sales, or we place it on our platforms and get advertising revenue. But that's, you know, for us at this point, we have like nearly 100,000 TikTok followers and, 30,000 YouTube subscribers because we haven't, we've only started prioritizing earlier this year. So the kind of actual short-term way to make cash is through brand partnerships, which we're doing. We're doing kind of multiple digital series of brands, through TV sales of content that we create, either through acquisitions or commissions. And then it's just building that to the point of what of exactly what you're saying, which is a subscription model with some kind of individuals who want independent-minded TV, kind of digital journalist content. So I think what's really interesting is like there's so much of a demand for journalism online. You have Andrew Callahan. It's kind of like there's kind of whole world of young people going out and seeing the real world and making money from it and having huge amounts of subscribers. But with the collapse of Vice and the mainstream media organization kind of reputation sadly going down within that kind of youth generation, there's such a major opportunity in that space. The key is how the hell do you make it for a very little amount of money so that you can then make a profit,
make the margin. Yeah, and that's what Yusuf was alluding to when he was saying he's getting people to make something for $300 that he gets $100,000 for.
Yeah, if we could do that with every video for sure, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Ben. That's great. And just quickly on the brands, how do you make that work with brands? Do they come to you? Do you go to them with an idea?
Yeah, it's a combination of both. So like to be fair, people have just come to us quite a lot over the last year for that kind of...
Do you think that's a growing opportunity for producers?
100%, yeah. And it's interesting because, we actually do a lot of, I suppose you could say, anti-branded content in the sense of we investigate brands. Yeah. So it feels like a kind of weird... So for a short time, I was like, oh shit, you might have just lost a lot of money that we can make. And we don't want to move away from that because we are effectively a journalistic organization. But the reason people have come to us is because they want on-the-ground, edgy feeling content, and that actually works. If you're a branding, you want something to feel real and raw and authentic and have that kind of documentary sensibility. That's a very appealing concept. So far it's been brands reaching out to us, and now we've just started kind of having conversations with brands. Say if we want to do we do a lot of travel current affairsy content, could North Face sponsor that to kind of make a multi-part series.
Brilliant. And look, I think you've got a business when people are contacting you rather than you're contacting them. So congrats to getting it to that space. But broadly, your business model is you come up with an idea, someone pays you up front to make it, essentially.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep some money out of that pot.
We come up with an idea and we say, where can this live?
Yeah.
And, we all think about it for Netflix because, if you're not going to deal with Netflix. If it doesn't work for Netflix, we'll think about it for, a podcast. Or it's just that idea can live in so many different spaces and make money in those spaces.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, thank you very much. Gerrit, tell us what you're doing at Quintus Studios.
Well, I'm CEO and founder of Quintus Studios, and Quintus Studios comprises the Quintus Channel Network, which is one of the biggest professional, or let's say long-form documentary video channel networks on YouTube, Snapchat, and Facebook. And then there is Quintus Productions, which is all our financing, co-production, production activities, commissioning activities. And there is Quintus Distribution, which sells our stuff and also third-party content into the still good old traditional linear world.
Okay, so you broadly make and then sell TV shows and also distribute them online and publish.
Well, yeah, online and even linear. Yeah, right. So we're coming from the TV space. So I started Quintus as a distribution agency back then in 2011, but then from let's say 2014, 15 on, we grew into being a channel network. So this is the absolute prio and the focus. And meanwhile, whereas like years ago, we were always producing only for TV and then maybe had the chance to take that content, put it on our channels, it's now the opposite, right? So we're producing, we flipped it. We're producing for our channels and sell this as a second window to...
Wow. Okay. So you and your colleague Adam, your creative director, will come up with an idea for a show that you would like on your channels, on your YouTube channel, free documentary, 5, 6, 7 million subscribers on YouTube?
Well, yeah, so the channel network has about 14 to 15 million. Now.
Okay, great. So, and then you will find a way, you'll commission a production company or a director to go...
Well, the way how it usually works is that we know our buckets that work really well on our channels, and we so far only produce into the spikes, which is big enough range of production topics, right?
Yeah.
And we have a growing network, and actually Adam, I think he's in the audience, built this up So we have a growing network of really talented filmmakers all over the world. They know what's working for us. Whenever they have access to a story that should work for us, they come and pitch it to us. Adam says, yes, that's a cool topic. Then we commission them sometimes it's a one-man band, sometimes it's an indie, like very lean production company. They produce it for us. Adam is monitoring and overseeing it. And then we put it on our channels, and again, putting it or selling it to the linear world or the streaming world.
When I started doing that, people would say to me, I don't want this shit. It's been on fucking YouTube. Everybody that wants to watch it has seen it already. I'm not fucking buying that rubbish. Are they still say that to you? Well, now they have to come to play with you. Now they have to be humble and stop being idiots.
The world is big, and our core footprint. I mean, we do global distribution on YouTube, obviously, but we also have our core footprint, which is mainly the English-speaking world. Parts of Asia and parts of Europe. But there's still, let's say, Germany, France, and other big territories, TV-wise big territories. That is not our main or core footprint, and we can sell into those territories.
Okay.
And also, I mean, go co-exclusively in territories which are our core lands, or if it's like real big money coming from the linear, we would also say, well, you take it first, we take it second.
Okay, so you do retain some flexibility, but you're using language as your kind of barrier for on sales rather than territory sometimes as well.
Yeah, well, both, right? Depending on which world you're in, right?
Okay, great.
In the digital world, it's more languages. In the linear world, it's still territories.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and so I would say you're kind of the exemplar in this space of people who've cracked the code of how to bring the cost of TV documentary production down to a level where you can afford to finance it in first, as originals for your own channels, and then make that investment back and make profit out of selling it into normal TV broadcasters around the world, as you would at MIP or
as you said. So that's the luckily on both sides, they came close to each other. So on the one hand, there is the potential of making money on YouTube with the growing network that we have, but on the other hand, we had to bring down the money or the cost for production a lot.
Yeah,
right?
And that's the truth of it. If you want to go digital first, you have to bring the cost right down, and that enables the upside.
But the interesting thing is that even though you bring the money down, due to like lean structures, maybe smarter selection of the infrastructure of production and technology, you are able to produce on this budget, on this
really
quality,
good storytelling.
Right?
Yeah, great. So Serena, how do you scale from where you are now? Because it sounds like you fucking own this shit. You're the queen bee. How do you actually take your business up the next level?
We've talked about it, and it's something we are looking to do. I think it's just not making a massive leap from where you are, like knowing what you're doing. So like you said, we're doing construction, architecture. If we opened a channel randomly talking about gaming, it would be really confusing, and our audience wouldn't be aligned with it. So what we do is we look at, other channels that our audience is looking at. We're looking currently to move into sustainability, which is an absolute hornet's nest on YouTube. The comments are ridiculous. But we think it's an important space and something that's really aligned with us. So I think it's just about making sure that you're still sort of staying in your lane in a way.
Like kind of coming just to the side.
Yeah, just build it out. Don't just make a massive leap.
Brilliant. Yeah, great stuff. Thank you. So Yusuf, somebody said to me here, how many kind of your model is like a guardian model, like people contributing to help make the stuff. Is that what's going to really scale your business next?
I think so. I think we're going to go longer form, deeper forms of engagement, more interactivity. Like a lot of us on this panel are talking about going for the Netflix, and then if it doesn't work out, going down. We're the opposite. We're like, we'll start with the 1 minute and be like, oh shit, people like that. Then we'll do 3. They like that. Then we'll go 10. Then we go 30. Then we go an hour. Okay. So start the investment small, get good data and signals in. And we're just doing that at a massive scale. We've published 5,000 films. So loads of data at incredibly low cost, high volumes, and then make those investments.
Brilliant. Okay. Ben, what do you think is the key element with all the things you're doing at the moment? What's the thing that you're most excited about in the marketplace, the opportunity that's opening up for you that you think is going to power all those different things going forward for Zandland?
I mean, as you said, I'm a bit, the company's a bit ADHD, so many things are exciting. I'd say that kind of, the fact that it's so much more affordable to make content, and the fact that you can self-produce content and that you can just create and put it on your platform, and then that content can then live on other, you can sell it to a TV channel or you can make money through ads on your channel. So I'd say that's extremely exciting. Podcasts are extremely exciting. They're also extremely, cheap to make, and you can create a full kind of world around that.
So that's the unlock, right? The unlock is the fact that you can do your best work for real low cost now, and that can create all these opportunities.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, for me, what I'm focused on now is leverage in terms of creating the brand of Zandland so that you can go. I mean, I want to, in every single world, be able to say, Zandland is a brand that people want to watch, whether that's a digital series on our own channel or a Zandland on Netflix,
Okay.
So you can have that ability to sell in different spaces or a podcast. So for me, I'm just doing everything to make Zandland the place you want to go to watch unbelievable stories about crazy people.
Roger that.
Yeah.
Okay. And Gerrit, where do you think the big opportunity is for Quintus right now to scale up to that very next level?
Well, there is still a lot of room to grow the core business, which is more channels, making the channels bigger, and then also doing more and more Quintus originals and selling into TV, especially with the shortage of content coming up.
I did hear for the first time at MIP, which I've been predicting for over a decade, and therefore shows why I lost all my hair, that there's not much content now for people to buy in factual.
Yeah.
So there's this big opportunity at MIP that I'm told is now there, which is this gulf, because no TV commissioners are commissioning anything anymore. Yeah. So there's a big opportunity of channels going, oh my God, I've got fuck all to put on a Sunday night at 9:00. Please, can somebody sell me something for 50 grand?
Yeah, so there is definitely an opportunity. I mean, on the other end, it might also be for us we also are dependent on getting content, so we cannot compensate 2,000 hours that we need for our network per year, right? But anyway, so there is a big opportunity. But then also what are documentaries for the millennial audience? So that is also what we're looking to build. A bit of what you guys are doing in several verticals. So we're thinking in video verticals. And what that means, because that would also open up more the brand money side, which we're only doing tiny bits of at the moment in long form, very journalistic kind of documentaries. That is a bit tricky in the old linear world to combine these two bits, but in the more like purely digital world, that is a lot easier.
So that's Serena's model really of owning a space and being the number one in a niche and really therefore commanding the brands. They have to come to you and they have to spend money with you because you're the go-to number one in that specific niche. Brilliant.
Well, that's about it for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. For content industry videos featuring the moves and shakers of the international content industry, just click the link on the episode description or search TellyCast TV on YouTube. TellyCast was produced by Spirit Studios and recorded at the BFI Southbank. Until next week, stay safe.